everyone, it's Anthony Chadwick from the Webinar Vet, welcoming you to really the start of our third International Webinar Vet Virtual Congress, which will be happening on the 10th of January in 2015, and we're launching it this week, and we wanted to let you know what we're going to be getting up to because we're very excited about some of the things that we will be doing. So before we sort of move into the virtual congress, those of you who don't know about the virtual congress or haven't been before, we actually did the first one in 2013, and we had 350 attendees from 26 countries. This was really remarkable because we set it up and launched it at London Vet Show in the late November, and sort of 6 to 8 weeks later had 350 attendees from 26 countries, and we were really blown away by that. So this year we did it again in January 2014. This time we planned a little bit further ahead. We had 560 attendees from 41 countries. Actually, the Webinar Vet, set up about 4 years ago, has broadcast webinars to vets in over 100 countries now, and I'm really chuffed to bits about that, because the whole idea and why I set the Webinar Vet up was to make veterinary education accessible and affordable to vets worldwide. And you know, last year we had vets from Malaysia, from Australia, from many countries in Europe, also from America and Canada, and obviously, you know, a large number from the UK and from Ireland. So very thrilled about that. And in fact, last year, John Alborough from JCA, who is involved with Vet Surgeon, and he actually came up to me and he said, gosh, you know, really excited about what you're doing, can I help at all? And I said, well, why don't we do a virtual exhibition? So last year we had, I think it was 20 to 30 stands within our website, and people could go to those stands. There were competitions to win nice prizes like iPads, and then also people could get information about the various companies that were exhibiting, and you could connect on their Facebook and Twitter pages. So it was really exciting. I think we've learned lessons from that, and we want to do it even better next year. And the virtual exhibition was free, so even if you decide not to buy a ticket, and I do hope you will, but even if you decide not to buy a ticket, you will be able to go to the virtual exhibition free of charge. So the third Congress is going to be on the 10th of January 2015. It's going to be, as far as I'm aware, and please tell me differently if I've missed this, but it's going to be the first ever Congressathon. We're going to be starting at midnight on the Saturday morning, midnight we will be starting, and we will finish on Saturday evening at midnight. So we're going to do a 24-hour Congress, one stream running throughout that time, and the second stream starting about 9 in the morning and finishing about 6. So there'll be 2 streams running, and the reason that we've done this is, of course, you know, you'll realize that having people coming to the Congress from Australia and from America means that when it's, you know, 9 o'clock in the morning with us, it's actually late on in the evening in Australia, and it's in the middle of the night in the US. So we decided that we would run a Congress that ran from midnight to midnight, and you know, we're really excited about that because it's really going to help for vets in other countries to be able to experience this live. A lot of people go to the recordings, but I think there's nothing like the live to be able to interact, ask questions, get involved with the polls and so on. We've got a virtual exhibition as well running, which will be even better than last year or than last January. And there's going to be over 24 hours of CPD that you can get in January, and that's a great way, isn't it, of really kick-starting your CPD at the beginning of the year. And this year, and you know, I must admit, you know, Catherine and Wendy sometimes wonder if I've gone a bit mad, but I want to try and hit the 1,000 barrier. And clearly that is not possible for Wendy, Catherine and I to do. So we can only do that with your help. And we would ask you, you know, not only to buy tickets, but also to tell friends and to pass this on through your Facebook and Twitter feeds that I know many of you are using, because we're really excited to hit that mark, and particularly to involve vets in other countries. I know many of you will have experienced our webinars before. You perhaps haven't ever, bought the virtual congress or become a platinum member, but I would really ask you to think seriously about coming on to this, because it is going to be a fantastic congress. It's very innovative. The way that we should be doing CPD now, it was interesting in the latest RCVS magazine. They were saying 4 years since the last survey, and now the way that vets learn is through private learning, through going to conferences and webinars. And 4 years ago, before I launched Webinar Vet, the veterinary profession hadn't really heard of webinars. I remember going to BSAVA in my first year and going around the stands and saying, you should be doing webinars, and the company's looking at me as if I had 3 heads. So I'm so pleased that I've helped to bring webinars into the veterinary field. I think it's really helped to just improve people's quality of life. But what's even more interesting is that many of our vets who perhaps become platinum members, when we look at their CPD tracker, we can track, vet CPD. That's something they wanted us to do so that we can give that to them at the end of the year. There are some vets out there who are doing 100 hours plus. So the 35-hour we've got to do this to fulfill our obligations to the Royal College has become a thing of the past, as people are re-energized in their learning and wanting to become better vets. And the more CPD we do, the better we become. So what are we going to do this year? Well, we're going to start at midnight with diagnostic imaging, emergency situations for diagnostic imaging, so looking at chest and abdomen. We're very fortunate to have 2 vets from the west coast of America who will be doing that. So for them it will be a Friday afternoon, very suitable to be doing CPD. Obviously, I'm not expecting many of you to be up at midnight, but of course it is recorded, and so you will be able to watch that, at your leisure the following week when everything is on the site. But we're hoping to have vets from America and Canada coming on. So if you do have colleagues in those countries or in Australia, do let them know, because this is the stuff that they'll be able to watch live. After that, so 12 till 3 is diagnostic imaging. We have an hour's break where people can have some refreshments and so on. Then we're doing intestinal surgery. And it's going to be some Australian vets looking at how to do an exploratory laparotomy, and then looking particularly at intestinal surgery in more detail. Buddy Villiers from Cambridge is going to be doing haematology, and that will actually start at 8 o'clock. So there is every good reason, if you get up early enough in the morning, that you'll be able to have that CPD between 8 and 10. And then we're going to do some feline liver disease with Jane Armstrong, who's professor of Minnesota and a feline expert. And then later on in the day, we're going to do canine liver disease. Gastric dilatation and volvulus, ophthalmology and exotics, diabetes mellitus, and immune-mediated skin disease. So we've got some fantastic topics there. We're really trying to delve a bit deeper. We've found that as our vets have stayed with us over the last 3 to 4 years, the standard of the CPD that we're putting out is getting higher. But it's based at the level of a committed GP. That's what I am. I had my own practice until a couple of years ago when I sold it to concentrate on Webinar Vet and also look after my sick parents, and to also continue to do my dermatology. So I still go out and do a day a week of dermatology, but I consider myself to be a GP vet. That's what I spent most of my professional life in first opinion and referral dermatology practice. So thrilled to bits actually to have the immune-mediated skin disease, which will be happening on the Saturday afternoon, because we've got Petra Bizikova and Keith Linder, who are, I would say 2 of the world's top authorities on autoimmune immune-mediated skin disease, based in North Carolina in America, and they will be giving that session. Stein Neeson, I know, is known to many of you as a lecturer at the Royal Veterinary College, and he will be talking about advances in canine and feline diabetes. Moving to the top, Jennifer and Miriam are the 2 diagnostic imagers from San Diego. David Williams the man with the dicky bow, known to many of you, fantastic ophthalmologist. He's going to be talking about rats, rodents, and reptiles, common ophthalmic conditions. Jane, as I mentioned, is going to be talking about feline liver disease. Mike Willard, I think one of my heroes in veterinary medicine, a professor at Texas A&M, has done some fantastic webinars for us in the past, both in the Platinum membership, our Thursday night club, which is starting in about an hour's time. We're going to be doing immune-mediated hemolytic anemia and thrombocytopenia today, treatment options. That's going to be given by Christopher Byers, who's a Twitter mate. I met Chris on Twitter, and he is a specialist critical illness vet based in Omaha, Nebraska. Mike, as I said, has done many webinars for us, both at the Virtual Congress in previous years and on the Platinum membership. If you haven't heard it before, that is an absolute treat and almost worth the entrance fee on its own. And then, as I said, Christopher will be talking about gastric dilatation and volvulus with the help of his surgeon friend, Aileen Attila. So some fantastic sessions. We're also going to give you, obviously, access to the recordings as well. You can't get to both streams at the same time unless you've learned to bilocate, and this is a problem with a lot of conferences, although I've noticed London Vet Show came to me and were chatting to me, and I've noticed now that they are recording some of their streams so that people miss things, they can go back to them. But of course this is video as well, it's not just audio, so you will get the videos to look at your leisure throughout the year. We do a nice little proceedings which have all of the notes from the various speakers, which is done as a PDF. You can print out if you so wish. And then, of course, we're going to do certificates for individual streams, so you'll be able to print those certificates out as well. Those of you who register before the middle of November will also be sent out a goodie bag. We've done this over the last 2 years, been very popular. We send out a mug with some fair trade coffee, tea, sugar, and biscuits. So again, people have had a lot of fun with that, enjoyed the fact that they can have tea with their CPD, and we'll be more than happy to send those out to you if you register before about the 15th of November. We're very excited as well, something that a little bit out of the ordinary. I notice a lot of conferences have motivational speakers. You cannot get much more motivational than John Cooper. He's an absolute legend within the veterinary profession. Taught me exotic medicine when I was at Liverpool 25 plus years ago, and has continued to do remarkable work throughout the world. But particularly his love, I think, is Africa, and he does a lot of work with the gorillas in Uganda and in Tanzania. Uganda, Rwanda, and I don't know if he gets into DRC, but that's certainly where the mountain gorillas are. And he's going to do a lecture for us on what gorillas can teach us humans, lessons from the wild and captivity. And if you haven't heard John speak before, you will be in for an absolute treat. 2% of all ticket sales that we make for the virtual congress from now will be donated to John to help with the fabulous work he does with the gorillas. I have a particular vested interest in this because during a sabbatical in 2005, I travelled around Africa for about 2 months and was very, very fortunate to go trekking the gorillas in Buwindi impenetrable forest. It was just about penetrable because we were able to get to see the gorillas, and I spent a very happy hour sitting with them. This one on the left was a young female who looked like she was playing the flute, but is actually just chewing on a bit of bamboo, and this was another one who came through. Such a fantastic experience. One of the success stories in that gorilla numbers are increasing over the last decade or so. And so hopefully the money that we raise through the virtual congress will go, just that little bit further in helping to safeguard their futures, because they are truly special creatures, and they have a very close place in my heart as well. that's the URL where you can actually buy tickets from. The conference is launching today. You know, you are pretty much the first to hear about it. We did do a little webinar on Monday for our Platinum members and people who've been to the Congress before. But, you know, and that's already been well received. But this is the first time we're really talking about it in any depth. So we'd love to have you on the webinar. I know many of you come on webinars in the past. I know you love them as a learning method. This is a great way of you really catapulting your learning in the first part of the year, and we'll get you pretty much all the way to your 35 hours. The tickets will cost £247. If you go on the website now, I think that should be the price that you see. We're still doing little bits of work on the website, but I think if you went to the home page, that should show that. But we're doing a special launch price until the end of July. We're going to do them at £127. And if you buy your tickets before the 24th of July, we've got a little bonus for you to add even more value. But, you know, at the moment, you can say that that's about £7 per webinar with the VAT if you're having to pay the VAT. But before the 24th of July, we will actually do a special bonus from last year's Congress, Feline Internal Medicine, with Professor Jane Armstrong and Dr. Sherry Ross. Jane from Minnesota, Sherry from San Diego. They did 3 webinars, one on urolithiasis, one on feline cholangitis, and a third one which was case studies. Very, very interesting. I'm sure you'd learn a lot from that. That's something we can give you immediately, because clearly the virtual Congress is 6 months away, so you won't get any benefit in the very short term, but we will be more than happy for those of you buy within the next week to give you 3 hours of CPD to get you started. You may have friends and colleagues in your practice who you think may benefit. You know, you may be an owner of a practice who's on the line at the moment. If you buy 2 tickets, you get a third free. So again, that's you know, one of our launch bonuses. All these are certainly going on till the end of July. And I know, you know, that you can kind of, oh, well, I'll think about it and I'll come back. You know, do make sure that you, if you are thinking seriously about it, I'd love you to buy the ticket now, because I want you to get it for the best price. Because, you know, I've looked at CPD in the past, and when we started this whole enterprise offer, you know, CPD was horrendously expensive. You know, if you wanted to do a day course, it was £700. That might be 5 to 6 hours of CPD. It was a very expensive way of doing CPD. I'm going off to a conference in September for my dermatology in Salzburg, and, you know, that will cost me probably £1,000 plus. Plus I'm going to be, you know, away for several days, so I can't work. Yes, of course, there's advantages to being at a physical conference where you can network with people, but they are very expensive, and what we've tried to do is make veterinary education more accessible and affordable to vets worldwide, but also within the UK. You know, I hear from the Royal College them saying, we've got vets who come on the line and say we can't afford much for CPD because we're only working 1 day a week or 2 days a week, or we're not working at the moment. And this is an ideal way of, you know, with a lot of the free stuff that we do as well, of getting something really high quality that will, you know, fulfill or go very close to fulfilling your Royal College requirements. Those of you just, you know, kind of are looking at the minimum. Those of you who want to do a lot more hours and just become better and better at the job you do, then clearly this is a very cost-effective and valuable way of doing it. So that's the URL again. Catherine, if you can stick that in the chat box, then people can click on that and go direct to the site. So those of you perhaps who don't use the box on the side as much, if you click that orange arrow out, look at chat at the bottom, then Catherine will tap that in and you can go right over and have a look at the website, and do have a little peruse around. Launch offer is the page, the direct page, but obviously if you go to internationalwebinarvet.com and then look at all the various tabs, you can look at a bit more detail at the speakers and at the topics that we'll be covering. Now, as I said at the beginning, we're hoping to get 1,000 delegates here, and that is a huge number. Um, I'll be very honest with you, it's impossible for probably Catherine and Wendy and myself to do without other people's help. And so we'd really ask you, to really consider, as well as obviously buying tickets, do spread the news out there about it. This is the ideal time to buy because these are, the tickets that are best priced. The price will rise as we move closer to the event. But I'm giving you a chance to win a ticket. Those of you who have attended today, I'm going to pull one out of the hat immediately. But I'd ask you if you can help us to spread the word, to make this go viral. You can retweet one of our tweets about the VC. If you want to write your own tweet, you can do if you're a Twitter fan. All we'd ask is that you put hashtag Virtual Vet Congress. And what we'll actually do is I think we'll get Catherine at the end of this, while I'm answering any questions, to put the website up and to put the Twitter feed up so you can see what we've done on Virtual Vet Congress. Now you can retweet. If Twitter is not your thing, and it was interesting, I was at the Student Congress at Lancaster a couple of weeks ago, and the students are very big into Twitter. They love Twitter. It's, I think, the one that they're moving towards. Most of them are now not on Facebook. But if you are on Facebook, then please do write a comment on Facebook, share any of the things that you see coming from us and like them, add comments to them, write your own comments that you send to your friends. I know many of you will have veterinary colleagues, about the virtual congress in 2015. I would be extremely grateful if you could do that. I mean, even if you're not going to buy a ticket, if you think it would benefit other people, then please do spread the word for us, because our goal this year is really to touch a lot of other countries as well, and to make that very accessible and affordable to them. So in certain of the countries we give out scholarships for free places, and we also make it cheaper for them because, of course, in some countries the vet doesn't makes very little money. I think we're very fortunate. We're probably in the most advanced veterinary profession in the world, and I feel it's beholden to me that we get the information from our professors in the UK and Australia and America out into Europe and farther afield, where maybe the knowledge isn't quite at the level that we're at. So we'd love you if you could help us on social media. Twitter and Facebook are the main ones. We're quite active on YouTube. If you want to do other things, or Pinterest, then feel free. But we're looking particularly at the Twitter and the Facebook. And if we see comments in there and retweets and likes and shares, then towards the end of the month we'll be pulling a couple of names out of the hat for free tickets. So you'd get a free ticket from that. I would say the people who use our service are almost always, I can't really think of an occasion where somebody's been very upset or disappointed with what we've done. But we at the same time have a no quibble money back guarantee. If you pay for the virtual congress and for whatever reason you're not happy with it, we don't argue the toss with you. We give you your money back. You might have had a problem getting on the internet, your computer broke down, you didn't like the topics, whatever the reason is. If you don't feel you've had value for money, then we'd rather pay you the money back, because we just don't get that sort of client. But if we get somebody who really is unhappy, then we'd want to turn that around and make them happy. So there's 100% guarantee money back if you're not happy. So there we go. I'm more than happy to answer any questions. Catherine, do you want to take over the screen and perhaps pop that over, I should say, pop that over to the Twitter feed first, so that people can just see how Twitter works, and then perhaps we can just show people the Facebook, and then maybe just show the website itself. I think they were the three things, weren't they? So is that today? Is that just gone on now? Who's going to win our first free ticket?
Yeah, that's it. We've got 1 retweet so far.
Fantastic already, a retweet, fantastic. I know some of you aren't that active on Twitter. You might use it more to look rather than to tweet and things, but feel free, do throw a little tweet in there. And obviously I think maybe sometimes we found last year people were more active on Facebook, so if you can get that information out and do tell people about it, I'd really appreciate it, because we've set ourselves quite a difficult goal this year, haven't we, Catherine?
We have.
So we'll see how we do. We're launching pretty much today. We will be continuing to push stuff out, certainly for the next couple of weeks, when these lower price tickets are still available, and then prices will start to rise as we move into August and September. But full price of the ticket $247, but happy to offer them at the moment at $127. And if you sign up, within the next week, we'll give you 3 hours of CPD immediately, so that you'll be getting value in the here and now. Excited about the link up that we've made with John Cooper. John is truly inspirational, and he's almost worth the admission ticket on his own. And it's nice that we'll hopefully be able to raise some money for the gorillas as well. So this is the page, isn't it, here, Catherine? So people just go to. Oh, is that actually on the front page? Is it, or is that the front page?
No, there you go. That's the front page.
Right. Okay. And so if we can just show that before we do anything else, let's see if there are any questions, and we can take it from there. Let me see if anything's come through. Don't let me forget to do the draw for people who are still on the webinar as well. But we'll just see if any questions have come up. Yes. And the URL, I think, was that launch offer, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it. It's in the chat box. I'll put it in again.
Yeah, and that's available until the end of July. But if you make a decision within the first week, you'll get that 3 hours from Professor Jane Armstrong and Dr. Sherry Ross. In fact, I've got that page up now, so if you make me a presenter again, I can demonstrate that. And I think I'm going to go for, let's say, number 15 for the people who are on the webinar tonight. Go for a nice low number. Do we know who that is?
Okay, do you want me to pick? Number 15.
Yeah, if you pick number 15, whoever 15 is, and I will see if we've got any questions. Any questions? Anything that people aren't sure of? What do you think of the program? Does that look good? We try to put things together that we think are going to interest people. Obviously we get information from polls and things and surveys. So any feedback would be appreciated. Anything that you think we need to make clearer, then more than happy to answer any of those questions. Otherwise, I will have a little break, and at 8:30 I'll go get back on for Chris Byers and immune-mediated hemolytic anemia and thrombocytopenia, looking at the treatment options. Who's 15, Catherine?
15 is Mark Roby.
All right, great. So, Mark, if you, we'll know your email address, so Catherine will make a note of that and can get a ticket over to you.
Yeah, no problem, will do.
Give it another couple of seconds. Now, everybody hopefully has found that useful. As I say, I'm very excited about the Congress, and I'd really appreciate any help that you can give us to get the word out there about it to your friends and colleagues. And just be aware of that buy two get one free price as well, especially if perhaps you're a boss in a practice who wants a couple of your vets to look at it, for a very good price. You can get 3 vets looking at it from the comfort of their own home on a cold January daytime, and if they want to get up at midnight with me, then they're very welcome. But otherwise, they'll be able to watch the recordings. Mark saying he's made up to win that prize, and we'll get that sorted out for you, Mark. All you've got to do, Mark, now is do a few retweets on Facebook and let your friends know as well. We'd really appreciate that. Because that's the way that we get the message out. You know, I'm not really one to spend a lot of money on advertising in the journals. I'd rather try and keep the cost down by just offering it to you and for you to help me to kind of spread the word on it. And you know, to get 600 was fantastic last year, and if we get 600 again, that'll still be great. But I'd love to get us, you know, as close to 1,000 as possible, and we can't do that without your help. So hoping that you can help us in any way with pushing those numbers up, and hopefully see you on those webinars in January, if not before, on one of our free ones. We had the Kennel Club yesterday, did a very good webinar on inherited diseases. If you haven't seen that, I think that's still probably available. That webpage is probably still up, is it, Catherine? webinarvet.com/kennel-club.
Yep, that's still up.
The virtual congress we run from the International Webinar Vet, so just be aware that that's a slightly different website. But I won't take any more of your time. I'm going to have a little break and then I'll be back on the webinar in an hour. But thanks for your time. I do appreciate it. I did promise I wouldn't do more than half an hour, so I'd better get off quickly before I get into trouble. Thanks very much, everyone. Good night, and hopefully see you soon on a webinar.